Welcome to Language Swap, everyone, a fun way to learn English. We are so excited to have you join us today.
Okay, so my friend calls me this morning, genuinely laughing at himself, and says, I think I just ruined my job application because I answered the call like it was spam.
Wait, why would he think it was spam?
That's exactly what I asked. Let me actually back up and tell this properly.
Please do, because right now I'm just confused.
Hey, everyone. Welcome back. I'm Alex.
And I'm Sally. And today we're talking about something every job seeker eventually faces, the first phone call from a company and what to actually expect from it.
This one's level B1 to B2, and if you've ever applied for jobs while still building your English confidence, this episode is genuinely for you.
And if you're a little below that level, stay with us anyway. The story alone is worth following.
Quick favor before we start. If you're enjoying the podcast, please like this episode and subscribe. It really helps us reach more learners.
Okay, now finish the story. Why did he think the call was spam in the first place?
So my friend's been applying for jobs for a few weeks now. And yesterday, an unknown number called him. No name saved, nothing.
Completely normal so far. Nothing strange yet.
He gets so many spam calls lately that he just assumed it was another one. So he answered super relaxed, almost joking, like he was about to hang up on a robot voice any second.
Oh no, I can already feel where this is going.
He actually said something casual, like, yeah, go ahead, in a pretty laid-back tone, expecting a recorded message, not a real person.
So he basically answered like he was talking to a robot.
Exactly. And then the woman on the line actually introduced herself, said the company name, and he suddenly realized mid-sentence that this was real. And it was about the job he'd applied for.
The switch from relaxed to panicked must have been instant.
Completely instant. His whole tone changed, and right as the panic kicked in, she asked him a question he didn't catch clearly, probably because his brain was still catching up to the fact that this was a real call.
Oh no. And let me guess what happened next?
He panicked, and instead of asking her to repeat it, he just said yes to something he didn't fully understand.
The classic panic, yes.
Exactly. And by the end of the call, he was so overwhelmed trying to keep up in English that he barely remembers what he actually said.
So this morning he called you, thinking he'd ruined it completely.
Completely convinced he'd ruined it. And honestly, still laughing at himself for answering like it was spam in the first place.
I mean, in his defense, spam calls really have ruined how everyone answers unknown numbers these days.
That's exactly what I told him. It's not really his fault the first 10 seconds went sideways. It's just that real calls and spam calls sound identical until someone actually starts talking.
That's such a modern, very relatable kind of disaster.
And once he calmed down enough to tell me the whole story properly, that's when I realized this would make a genuinely useful episode for people in his exact situation.
Okay, but underneath the funny part, this is actually such a real fear. Not knowing what to expect from a call like that is genuinely stressful, especially in a second language.
That's exactly why I wanted to bring this to the podcast. Actually, he didn't know what this kind of call even was, what it's for, how long it should last, any of it.
Let's actually break that down properly then, because I think a lot of people are in his exact position right now.
So, what is this call, technically? He assumed it was already the job interview.
It's usually called a phone screen, and it's not the full interview. It's a short call, typically 15 to 30 minutes, done by a recruiter, not the actual hiring manager.
So the person on the phone isn't the one who'll decide if he gets the job.
Not directly, no. Their job is to check basic fit, background, availability, and whether it makes sense to move him forward to the next stage. It's a filter, not the final decision.
That's such useful context on its own, actually. He thought he'd already blown his one shot.
He hadn't, and honestly, most people don't realize a phone screen is meant to be relatively brief and surface level. Recruiters aren't expecting deep, detailed answers at this stage.
What kind of things do they actually ask, typically?
Usually background questions, why you're interested in the role, your availability, sometimes salary expectations, and a general sense of your communication style.
So less about proving deep expertise and more about basic alignment and being able to have a clear conversation.
Exactly that, which is honestly good news for anyone worried about their English specifically, because the bar at this stage is clarity, not perfection.
I want to bring up something else he told me, actually, because I think it's a really important detail.
Go ahead. Tell me what
He
he
said
said.
that partway through the call, he realized the recruiter already had his resume open because she referenced something specific from it, a previous job title, without him mentioning it first.
That's such an important thing to know beforehand. Honestly, recruiters usually review your resume right before the call, sometimes during it.
So the questions aren't random. They're often based directly on what's already sitting in front of them.
Exactly. Which means preparing your own resume, refreshing yourself on your own accomplishments, matters just as much as preparing generic answers.
He also mentioned the whole thing felt shorter than he expected, like it ended almost abruptly, and he wasn't sure if that was a bad sign.
That's such a common worry, but a short call isn't automatically bad. Phone screens are designed to be efficient, not exhaustive. Recruiters often have a tight schedule of back-to-back calls.
So brevity on their end doesn't necessarily reflect how the conversation actually went.
Not at all in most cases. A focused 15-minute call that covers the necessary points can be just as successful as a longer one.
I think what's making all of this harder for him specifically is the language pressure layered on top of normal interview nerves.
That's such a real compounding kind of stress. Everyone gets nervous on these calls, but worrying about missing words on top of that adds a whole extra layer.
Is there something practical he can actually do differently next time, now that he understands the format a bit better?
Absolutely. First, having a few prepared phrases ready specifically for moments of confusion changes everything. Something like, could you repeat that, please? Or, sorry, could you say that a little slower?
Which is so much better than guessing and saying yes to something he didn't understand.
Completely recruiters expect clarifying questions, especially on a phone call where there's no face or lips to read along with the words.
What about preparing content specifically? Not just phrases for confusion.
Reviewing his own resume beforehand, out loud, in English, so the key points come out naturally instead of being translated in his head in real time during the call.
That's such a practical tip, actually. Practicing his own story before someone else asks about it.
Exactly, and preparing one or two questions to ask back at the end shows engagement, and it also gives him a chance to speak on his own terms for a moment, not just react.
I want to circle back to the resume thing, actually, since it stuck with him so much. What should he take away from realizing she already had it in front of her?
That the call isn't really about surprising them with new information. It's about confirming and expanding on what's already there. Knowing your own resume well is half the preparation.
So instead of trying to remember everything all at once under pressure, he can just anticipate which parts of his resume are most likely to come up.
Exactly that. The most recent role, the most relevant skills, and one clear reason he's interested in this specific position. Those three things cover most of what gets asked.
I want to bring up one more thing he mentioned, actually, since I think it worried him almost as much as the language piece.
What was that? The salary
Near the end
thing?
of the call, she asked about his salary expectations, and he genuinely had no idea how to answer that without either underselling himself or asking for something unrealistic.
That's such a common source of stress on these calls, honestly, in any language. A lot of people freeze up specifically at that question.
Is there a reasonably safe way to handle it, especially for someone who hasn't done much research yet?
A simple, honest approach works well. Something like giving a range instead of one fixed number and mentioning you're open to discussing it further once you know more about the role.
So he's not locking himself into one number too early, before he even fully understands the position.
Exactly. Recruiters expect a range at this early stage, not a precise figure. It's meant to check general alignment, not finalize anything.
That's such a relief to hear, honestly, because he told me he just made up a number on the spot, purely out of panic.
That happens more than people admit. Honestly, the good news is this early number is rarely locked in permanently. There's usually room to revisit it later in the process.
I think the biggest shift for him today, genuinely, is just understanding this call is a short, structured filter, not the make or break final judgment he was treating it as.
That reframe alone probably helps more than any specific phrase we could give him. Less pressure, clearer expectations, a completely different experience next time.
And hopefully next time the confusion is just about the questions, not about whether the call is even real.
Though, honestly, that first 10 seconds mix-up might just become a running joke between you two forever.
Probably he'll never live down answering like it was a robot call.
All right, let's slow down and go through the important words from today.
Our first word is screen, used as a verb here.
Screen, let's slow that word down.
To screen means to check or evaluate someone briefly, usually to decide if they should move forward in a process.
In today's episode, we talked about a phone screen, the short call recruiters use to check basic fit before a full interview.
You could say the recruiter screens candidates before passing them to the hiring manager.
Or I got screened over the phone before my in-person interview.
Our next word is availability.
Availability, an important one today.
Availability means the times or dates when you're free and able to do something, often used for scheduling.
In today's episode, we talked about recruiters asking about availability during the phone screen.
You could say, she asked about my availability for the next 2 weeks.
Or make sure you know your own availability before the call.
Our next word is brief.
Brief, worth sitting with for a second.
Brief means short, not lasting very long, often used to describe a quick but complete conversation or meeting.
In today's episode, we talked about the call being brief and how that's actually completely normal for this stage.
You could say, the call was brief, but it covered everything they needed.
Or keep your answer brief and clear during a phone screen.
Our next word is clarify.
Clarify, let's break that one down.
To clarify means to make something clearer, often by asking a question or explaining something again.
In today's episode, we talked about asking someone to clarify a question instead of guessing and answering incorrectly.
You could say, could you clarify what you mean by that?
Or, he asked her to clarify the question before answering.
Our final word is engagement.
Engagement, our final word for today.
Engagement means active interest and involvement in something, showing that you're genuinely paying attention and participating.
In today's episode, we talked about asking questions at the end of a call to show engagement, not just answering passively.
You could say, asking a thoughtful question at the end shows real engagement.
Or, her engagement throughout the call impressed the recruiter.
One more word worth adding, actually, since it came up in his story too. Expectations, specifically salary expectations.
Expectations, let's slow that word down too.
Expectations means what you believe or hope will happen, often used for salary, timelines, or general outcomes.
In today's episode, we talked about giving a salary range instead of one fixed number when asked about expectations early on.
You could say, I gave a salary range instead of one exact number.
Or, it's fine to keep your expectations flexible this early in the process.
So today's words are screen, availability, brief, clarify, and engagement.
And they connect perfectly to today's whole message.
Don't panic during a brief call. Ask for clarification when you need it.
And show engagement even in a short conversation.
And that takes us right into say it better.
This is where we take simple sentences and make them sound more natural and more confident.
First sentence, I didn't understand, so I just said yes.
Honest, but let's improve it.
A stronger way to say it would be, I didn't catch the question clearly, so next time I'll ask them to repeat it.
That version turns the mistake into a lesson instead of just a confession.
Next sentence, the call was short, so I think I did badly.
Understandable assumption, but not quite accurate.
A better version would be, the call was brief, but that's normal for a phone screen. It doesn't mean it went badly.
That reframes the length correctly instead of assuming the worst.
Next sentence, she knew things about me already.
A little vague. Let's sharpen it.
A stronger version would be, she'd already reviewed my resume, so her questions were based on specific details from it.
That version explains exactly what happened, not just a general feeling.
Next sentence, I didn't ask anything at the end.
Simple, but let's build on it.
A more complete version would be, I didn't ask any questions at the end, but next time, I'll prepare one or two in advance.
That shows self-awareness and a clear plan for improvement.
Final sentence, I was so nervous I said something weird.
Very relatable, honestly, for almost everyone.
A more polished version would be, I was nervous, and in the moment, I said something that didn't quite make sense, but I can prepare better next time.
That version turns embarrassment into a completely reasonable, forgivable moment.
And that's a good place to end. Say it better.
On clarity over sounding perfect.
On preparation, the quiet, simple kind.
On turning nerves into a plan instead of a panic? Yes.
Okay, before we wrap up, here's something to actually do this week. Not just think about.
If you have an upcoming call or interview, write down your last job title, one recent accomplishment, and one reason you want the role.
Just 3 things. Ready in your own words before anyone asks.
And practice saying, could you repeat that, please, out loud once so it's ready if you need it?
Because the goal isn't sounding perfect on the call.
The goal is staying calm enough to actually communicate what you mean.
Tell us in the comments, what's one phrase you want to have ready for your next English phone call?
Keep it real, keep it specific.
And maybe have it ready before the panic sets in, not during it.
Though, to be fair, panicked improvising does sometimes produce a memorable line anyway.
If today's episode made a stressful phone call feel a little less scary, share it with someone who's currently job hunting in a second language.
And if your friend or you yourself has ever said something slightly nonsensical out of pure nerves, you're in genuinely excellent company.
Honestly, I think that's the real takeaway underneath all the vocabulary today. Nerves make all of us say strange things sometimes, in any language, at any level.
What matters more is having a little structure ready, so the nerves don't completely take over the entire conversation.
3 things about yourself. 1 phrase for confusion. 1 question to ask back. That's genuinely enough preparation for most of these calls.
Simple, but it changes everything about how the call actually feels from the inside.
I think I'm going to send him this exact episode actually, once we're done recording.
He'll probably appreciate hearing his own disaster turned into something useful for other people too.
Knowing him, he'll just appreciate his robot voice mix-up finally being useful for someone else too.
Every story needs a purpose eventually, even the accidental, panicked ones.
Thanks so much for listening, everyone.
We'll see you in the next episode.